Black Eye Perspective. Well, there are several live updates that are going on right now, and I'm going to bring you the first one. It's dealing specifically with the Supreme Court's ruling on Trump's immunity appeal. The Supreme Court ruled that former President Donald Trump has some immunity from prosecution in his federal election interference case. The 6-3 decision, which is complex, further delays special counsel Jack Smith's prosecution. So, what they're saying is that he has some immunities under official duty and he has some that's not. So, this will not be solved anytime soon. In tandem with that, it goes on to say that Chief Justice Roberts, writing for the majority, rejected Trump's broad immunity claims and said that Trump only has immunity for his official acts as president. The High Court did not determine what constitutes an official act in this case, leaving that to a lower court. The court's liberal justices issued blistering dissents of the majority opinion. In her dissent, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said the ruling breaks new and dangerous ground. Meanwhile, former Trump advisor Steve Bannon entered a federal prison in Connecticut to serve a 4-month sentence for defying congressional subpoenas from the House January 6th committee. Here are a few ideas or comments. It says today's decision sets out the rules about evidence, what evidence can or can't be used in Trump's election interference trial, assuming we ever get there, it says. As a part of today's ruling, the court held if a certain allegation in the indictment is determined to be an official act, prosecutors cannot introduce the testimony or private records of the president probing the official act itself. However, the court has left a narrow path for prosecutors to show jurors evidence of the official acts, if and only if that evidence can be found in public record. So I would imagine that would mean anything that is setting precedents, whatever would set precedents. And as we did share, we're going to take a look at Steve Bannon, who turned himself in today. And even though we may not, necessarily have anything to do with all of this, we still want to go ahead and make sure that we put it on record that we did cover it. Now, I will say this. I did see what they said was Steve Bannon on X yesterday. And he was on what is the fella's name? The guy they kicked off. And I was scrolling through X, and it just didn't look like him to me. It really didn't. But nonetheless, Steve Bannon turned himself into prison on Monday after the Supreme Court rejected the last-minute appeal to avoid prison time for defying multiple subpoenas surrounding the House January 6th insurrection investigation. He live-streamed his drive to FCI Danbury, the minimum security prison in Connecticut, where he will serve his 4-month sentence, on his War Room podcast and show on Rumble. Quote, "I have no regrets, and I'm proud of what I did," Bannon, a longtime ally of Donald Trump, told a gaggle of press and supporters before turning himself in to prison. The TJ6 committee was completely illegitimate, he says. At the press conference, Bannon, who was joined by the far-right Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, appeared gleeful. He taunted the media outlets and attendants and urged supporters to take up the fight, and gloated about the Supreme Court's ruling that President Trump, that presidents have absolute immunity for official acts. But that's not what they said. That is not what they said. And that's why I think that everyone should be a little cautious before they want to celebrate if that's something that they're considering doing. Now, it does say that federal prosecutors say Bannon believed that he was above the law when he refused a deposition with the January 6th House Select Committee, in addition to refusing to turn over documents on his efforts to subvert the 2020 presidential election results. The Supreme Court's order came in response to Bannon asking the country's highest court earlier this month to delay his prison sentence in an emergency application. Bannon has accused the convictions against him of being politically motivated. Well, I think he may be onto something there. With his lawyer, David Schoen, saying that the case raises serious constitutional issues that need to be investigated by the Supreme Court. In an interview last Saturday, the former Trump advisor told ABC host Jonathan Krall that he considers himself a political prisoner and continues with, quote, "It won't change me. It will not suppress my voice. My voice will not be suppressed when I'm there," he said, adding that he has no regrets about defying the subpoenas. He continues, also saying that if it took me going to prison to finally get the House to start to move, to start to delegitimize the illegitimate J6 committee, then hey, guess what? I'm going to prison. My going to prison is worth it, he says. Well, as you know, these things are developing. And as we get more information, we will bring it here. For Headlines with a Voice, this has been the Lockhart News Brief.
Lockhart Perspective.